Okay, so this was a pretty good one right here. I kind of felt bad for the guy, to be perfectly honest. I mean, not for selling dope and killing somebody potentially. I don't think it was first degree. I mean, do I think it was premeditated across the board? I don't know. I'd have to actually hear Jody's testimony that he didn't get here. I mean, which is important. I got to try to do this with my best escapism as possible, because I don't want to come out like, oh, you don't ever do anything with a lawyer or anything. That's not what I'm trying to do. But there are a few things in here that I want to break down. They're going to talk about
I'm trying to remember her exact words, but it was more
this recording in a minute that he doesn't give to him.
I don't want him to be scared and to talk to us. Anything else on...
Now, that very well may have been true. I don't want to disagree with what that investigator maybe said inside of there. That could be true. I got to hear it from my ear. I mean, that's a dead nuts giveaway, because they could easily use that to flip it on him. But in the end of it, after you watch the trial, he did the right thing. It was like he's trying to get his old lady out of it, who didn't really have much to do with it. If he's trying to stop a domestic abuse thing from some strip club owner beating the shit out of his wife, that is what it is. It seems like he brought a gun over with it. I don't necessarily think that's premeditated. I mean, it seems like they want to slam you with the biggest possible. It's not 42 correct. You know what I mean? It's like, that seems like a second-degree murder thing to me. Something happened. It got out of control. I thought that's what second-degree murder was about. First-degree murder was premeditated, life, potentially death, or in his case, by the end of it, he gets life with a chance of parole in 37. They did say one thing about coercion. That seems pretty coercive to me. Put out your kids out there and stuff like that. It really doesn't have anything to do with the law in itself. He's trying to get information, which brings me to the next point. Again, I don't necessarily want to idealize to get somebody out of a murder. Why not just, if it's in the interrogation with Jody on the recorder, let him hear what they actually have against you, and that'll let you know exactly where they're at with it. It would definitely change where he's at with it, unless that information is absolutely solid. That information is absolutely solid. There's no reason not to bring a lawyer into the situation. You're already in jail, my man. You had to have a lawyer at some point in time. Is it worth it to go in there like that? I mean, yeah, of course they're going to do that. They're going to, I've maybe met them once in the hallway for passing. I don't really know who they were. Don't really know who they are. That's what's going to happen. So, the point with the lawyer, the difference between this guy not being a lawyer and a lawyer. The lawyer, he's gonna say he's gonna be honest with you. He's not. And I don't really think he. All right, how do I best explain this? I don't think that he necessarily hid anything from him. I don't know. He did play a few tricks on it. Like I said, that the whole thing is what it is. 18 years in your career. Here, this is what the guy does, and you're going to get testimony out of it. And again, back to it. I mean, why even bother putting him in here without a lawyer with him? He must have had a lawyer for whatever trial in the dope trial he was dealing with inside here, unless he represented himself. But the lawyer in the testimony, let's say you stopped it right now. And the lawyer's going to stop this right here. I need all the information you have on the case. I need all the recordings and the testimonies that you have. And then he's going to go right to this guy and tell him exactly what that is. Because you're looking at, if that information is solid for what it is, this is what that represents. You're going to get him for something. We're talking about life in prison, and then 37 here, it's 21. I don't know when this case started. It might have been something in the beginning about it. Let's see, we're at 5'11". So 16. (2016 to 2037). That's if he gets parole. He wound up catching a first-degree charge with ability for parole in 37. So 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 plus 10 and 17. So he's looking at about, well, what is that? It's 16 or 10, 21 years, I do believe. 21 years if he catches parole on that. And I really don't know the parole rotation every other year, every 5 years after that. Could be 10 years after that. I have no idea how that system works, so I'll have to do some digging on that. But, in the end of this, like I said, the lawyer is going to be presented with this information without his opinion. He's not going to be able to do anything for Jody as an accessory to, well, he was going over there to stop it or get involved with it or whatever the information on that reporter may specify. If she didn't turn it in, it's his wife. The wife didn't do it. There's numbers on the marital principles behind. You can't really, if she chooses not to testify against him, that's what that is. She apparently did. I didn't hear the testimony. In which case, she can still choose not to represent that in court because of that law. Now, I think that might be in Florida, but I know Heather's law inside here, who knows the time frames of when the presentation of that was. Remember, this happened in 2016. Heather's law is going to be about, well, if they gave the testimony already, and it's about something like a homicide like this, or a murder like that, then yes, they can use that in court, and you can't use that marital stuff to strike that testimony from the court. And inside of there, you got to watch that. Like I said, I'd have to hear that testimony. I'd have to hear it from here before, needing that lawyer. Because at the point you ask for a lawyer, you're going to immediately get that. You're going to immediately get that. At the best case scenario, the lawyer might be able to help Jody out inside of there. And again, you're still going to get him for something. I really don't understand what's the Super Bowl on this one. We're just trying to close off the information. Do I really believe morality much matters in this situation? No. Morality is like eyewitness testimony. That's my opinion. It doesn't do much good in the situation, except for potentially his parole. But is there any guarantee that was going to strike him from getting parole? Do I think it was going to drop him down to second-degree murder inside here? I mean, it seemed like second-degree murder to me. It seemed like a lesser charge. If it did come into a domestic abuse, he calls in, call the cops first, would have been the first of options. But, nobody really knows. I'm not from his area to make that determination of the cops in that region. I'm really not. I can't tell you that they're overbooked or they're not overbooked or they're sick and tired of seeing domestic abuse cases all day. Whether it would have made a difference to stopping something from getting out of control or worse at that point in time, to him potentially, who knows, maybe that guy would have killed her at that point in time before he got involved. You don't know that. I don't know that. The guy's in a iron lung with the paralyzed from the neck down now because he survived. Was it first-degree murder? Yeah, I don't know if the woman died too. That was the one thing I didn't catch out of this. What happened to the girlfriend? Because, imagine the girlfriend would have called in the cops at this point in time. So apparently, that's really what this boils down to. And inside of this, if there was a way out of it, it was, you got to clean this up so there's no witnesses on that. That's something you got to think about. But do I think it was premeditated that he was going to go over there and kill them both? No. When you look at the top end of it for that 20 years with parole, and he's going to say the morality on this is an equal triangle on what that is. What's the point of putting a first-degree murder trial on that? He's going to be spending 20, 30 years in jail for what this is. That's a good portion of his life where, again, you're not doing anything for society. Every time we have a life sentence in there that stretches, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, do the math.
What do you actually know about what happened over there? What have you heard?
Chances are, some new kid's going to come in with a street murder trial and things like that, and this guy's still going to be there. You keep adding those up, we're out of cells. And what's the point of building a new prison? Eventually, the cemeteries are going to be so many inside of here that you're clearing out the town so you can lay plots, stacking graves, buying up cemetery property. It's like a natural game preserve for human dead bodies. So, in the way I'm trying to explain that, I hope I explained that well towards at least the way you should be thinking about this in terms of, okay, that's what it is. Him, this guy in the IMA for night schools on job reforms and doing these things so I actually make you something sensible. Yeah, in a heartbeat. Hey, look, when I was in Delhi, I watched a sheriff, an ex-sheriff, or a police officer, a state trooper or whatever he was. He was in there for murdering his wife. I'm sure he was serving some time before they shipped him off into prison for what it is, but there you go. So they show the guy, he's in the hospital, infirmary. Well, he's in poor conditions in the hospital. So, yeah, that's right there. We didn't get to complete this interview to say that's what happened, this is where he'd come over to it, where you beating your wife, he's going to try to hide that too. You got to be real careful about this stuff. Just because he's the one in coma doesn't necessarily mean that didn't have that coming. Do I think he should have killed the wife? Definitely not. Do I think that really matters? But this guy's leaning on this. Hey, you can't blame me for some of that morality crap that comes into this. If this guy's like, well, let me paint the picture for you. Hey, calling the kettle black here, man. If one looks this way and one looks that way, at best this guy's looking for parole on the back end of it. Why not just tell him? The best thing you get out of this is telling the truth, and it's going to look a lot better to the parole board on what the information is. Now, with that said, all that, if he would have just said those words right there, but he can't guarantee that to be true. It's not up to him. The end result of that material has nothing to do with the morality behind that situation, of whether they'll think that that's what that is. Especially when you go to the legal precedent of every other case that's ever been out there, and lawyers getting involved, and then it drops it back down. And I'm sure I could find several of them just on let alone any of the other ones. So, I wanted that context of the information to be presented out here. And like I said, I'd have leaned on that. I've been like, look, the best case scenario is that what I can present that jury with from the investigation is that you felt remorseful about what this is. You told me the truth on the information, and at best, giving gravity on the law. The ones that don't do this don't get parole. The ones that do have strong cases of getting parole. Now look, you were scared shitless after you killed him. You killed her.
Like I said, I think something went wrong. I don't think you got there on
catch you in the next one. Yeah, well,
What Jody had to say, I don't have Jody on the video.
I got a recording of your wife talking to you.
You had her on I have her on.
I have the information. That's what that is. Like, you gotta be real careful.